Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
In this lesson, we will look at the issue of reciprocity when we have control sources in the circuit. Okay. Now, we have proven reciprocity for resistive networks. What this means is that if you have a purely resistive network, it is definitely reciprocal. Okay. So, you take any two ports in a resistive network, between those two ports there will be reciprocity, and we have defined reciprocity. You can define it in terms of these two port parameters. Z12 will be Z21, Y12 will be Y21, H12 will be minus H21, or G12 will be minus G21. Okay. Now, if you have control sources, it is not that they will be necessarily non-reciprocal. Okay. So, now first let me take a very simple example. Let us say I take only a voltage controlled current source. Okay. This is Vx and this is GmVx. If I define this to be my two port, I know that first of all the correct parameter set for describing this is the Y parameter set, and the Y parameters are these. Okay. Clearly it is non-reciprocal. So, a control source by itself is non-reciprocal. But what I want to point out is that it is possible to realize reciprocal networks using control sources. Okay. So, while purely resistive networks are necessarily reciprocal, it is not that when you have control sources it will be non-reciprocal. You have to evaluate the two port parameters to find out. This particular two port, this is non-reciprocal, but let us say we take something else. For instance, we connect two control sources together, and let us say this is Vx and this is GmVx, and if this is Vy, that will be GmVy. Now, you can evaluate the Y parameters of this two port. I am not going to do that, but you can do that very easily. Okay. So, Y would be 0, Gm and 0. So, clearly Y12 equals Y21, and this is a reciprocal network that consists of control sources, and you can also have resistors and so on. Okay. So, you can always arrange a circuit with control sources to be reciprocal. Okay. The most trivial case is when every resistor in your resistive network is implemented using control sources. Even if you do not do that, even if you do not use control sources to realize equivalent resistors, you can make them reciprocal. Okay. In this particular case, let us say instead of GmVy, we had GM1 Vy, and here I had GM1 GM2 Vx. Okay. So, then the Y parameter set would be 0, GM1, GM2 and 0, and in that case we do not have reciprocity. Okay. So, if the two control sources have equal coefficients, this particular network is reciprocal, otherwise it is not. Okay. So, you cannot make a general statement in case of circuits having control sources. Okay.